before we start the review, I want to give a nugget of knowledge to those of y'all who want to know exactly who each of the characters are in the Trio of Dangers and what they're categorized as animal-wise. That way people don't get confused and end up lumping them all together as foxes or wolves. I know in past reviews I've named them all wolves myself, and that is a mistake that I want to rectify today, because after looking closely at all three of the members of the Trio of Dangers and watching them fight and looking at them, it is clear that all three of them may look the same, but that's only because they have the same beastly ancestry, but they all are three different species of canine-like beasts. So, to clarify for this, that way in future reviews, if they ever do return, I can specify who they are. Let's clarify this now so we can get it out of the way. In the Trio of Dangers, Basil, the character that fought against Majin Buu, is based off of a fox. He is a fox-like creature. You can tell by the red fur, and you can tell by the way that he has certain fluff around his body. The character that fights Gohan in this episode, Lavender, he is known as a coyote. You can tell by his long limbs and how his arms are. Coyotes are known to have very narrow, skinny-like limbs. Their legs are very skinny in order to, adjust to their environment, and they're usually out at night. And last but not least, we've got Bergamo. Bergamo is what exactly you think he's based off of. Bergamo is a wolf. You can tell by his gray coloring of his hair and his much bigger stature as compared to Lavender and Basil. Lavender and Basil are based off foxes and coyotes, and a wolf is much, much, much bigger than those two are. So, with that said, I hope you all learned a little bit more about the Trio of Dangers. Now let's get into this review. Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome back to Dragon Ball Super Reviews. Today we'll be doing the review of episode 80, Awaken Your Sleeping Battle Spirit, Son Gohan Fights. This episode to me, is probably one of the best action-packed episodes of Dragon Ball Super, but it's also combined as to winning that prize for the most oddest. And I'll get into that later on as I talk about the review. So, later, when we start off the episode starts off really good, actually. The episode starts, obviously, with Gohan fighting against Lavender, and the fight looks great. Hell, even the beginning of their fight looks like the fight between Goku and the weird Pride Warrior that's in the opening. The fight starts off like that, and the reason I say it starts off like that, look at the animation of how the fight's going. Gohan and Lavender are fighting, and you can see that the tournament ground is moving below them, and it's moving just like it did when Goku and the Pride Fighter are fighting in the opening. So I thought that was really cool, that the way that the fights look so similar, and the fight just really action-packed. The two warriors are not holding back whatsoever. They're really giving it to each other. This is a good fight. And the best part about Gohan fights, or any fights that have to do with any of the warriors besides, like, say, Goku and Vegeta, you don't know what the outcome really is gonna be. Usually with Vegeta, you know, oh, he's gonna win until he ends up fighting the main villain, and then he'll get his ass kicked in favor of Goku. This one, you know that Gohan may or may not win here, and I stated before in episode 79 and 78 that I wanted Gohan to actually lose this fight. Therefore, he can learn that he needs to get stronger, he needs to get better in place for the Tournament of Power. So in this fight, it seems that Lavender has tricked Gohan and sprayed a poison-like fog into Gohan's eyes, thus blinding him. So Gohan not only can't sense the energy of Lavender, he also can't see Lavender. So two of Gohan's senses have been knocked clean out. So he has to rely on hearing and just feeling him out, just trying to feel him out. He can't sense his energy, but he can't, feel out his presence. So when that ends up happening, Gohan is actually able to hear Lavender's strikes, so he's able to counter those as well. At that point, Lavender decides to take the battle to the skies, and this makes it a lot harder for Gohan in order to hear. When Supreme Kai, and I don't know why Supreme Kai has it instead of Goku, tries to give Goku some senzu beans, Gohan says that he does not need the senzu beans. He wants to fight on his own terms, and Goku is actually proud of Gohan for this choice because he knows that the more Gohan fights on his own terms, the better he'll get in battle. He'll get back his fighting spirit that he had before. It's clear at this point Gohan is losing, though. It's clear he can't keep up with him. He can't keep track of him. So Gohan decides to bust in a last resort. He transforms Super Saiyan, but he transforms Super Saiyan specifically to use his energy as what I like to call a sonar or echolocation, a technique that most dolphins use, or bats, if you will, in caves, where they send off a sonar, usually of a very light-sounding vocal crack of theirs that bounces off of items that allows them to see where they are. So Gohan does this in a sense, but instead of using either like a voice or anything, he uses his energy, his own energy. He's bouncing his energy off, so he's letting out a large output of his ki so that it can bounce off of Lavender. That way he knows his exact location, which I thought was really clever. It's a really nice way to use ki, and it's very strategic for someone like Gohan, especially considering that Gohan and Piccolo have trained with each other, and Gohan is relatively smart. So I would expect him to think of a strategy like this, and it's good to see that Gohan is a bit more on the strategic side in this fight. However, the drawback is because Gohan is outputting out so much energy, it's accelerating the blood in his body, and thus the venom that Lavender has been giving Gohan in the period of the fight is accelerating. The poison is actually running through his body now with each movement that Gohan's making. So this slows Gohan down quite a bit, but it does allow Gohan to sense out Lavender. And at this point, Gohan is basically using the power of will in order to output more energy and beat the crap out of Lavender. He finally grabs Lavender and nosedives and has a pile driver straight into the ground. When that happens, Lavender's down, and then Gohan falls and he's down. And then both fighters are no longer able to fight in the fight to tie. A lot of people have been stating that this fight should probably have ended with Gohan winning, since Gohan technically was the last to fall. But when the smoke clears, Lavender is on the ground, then Gohan falls, rather than staying up. If he had stayed up a few more seconds, then obviously he would have won. But by the time that Daishinkan made his verdict, Gohan and Lavender were both down. So that is unfortunate for those who wanted Gohan to win. I think it's fortunate because, yes, I wanted Gohan to lose. I will admit that. I thought that Gohan losing would be a kick in the butt for him to learn how to become a better fighter. But this is a nice compromise. I definitely have to say I can work with a compromise like this. Gohan having a tie, okay, fine, whatever. It makes sense. Okay, I get it. So, yeah, like I can live with that outcome. Anyway, so the next part is exposition, but it's very important exposition, and this is what I was talking about when I said that this episode was odd. If I were to have cut off the review right there and the episode just ended there on that note, then this was a really good fight. Probably one of the best fights, not just action-wise, because there have been more action-packed fights in Dragon Ball Super, but everything that this fight stands for. Gohan getting stronger, the morality behind it, how Gohan was fighting, the strategic abilities that Gohan had displayed in this fight. Everything in this fight actually made for a really good fight, a legitimately good fight. So, here's the part of the episode that gets weird. So, in the episode, both of the Zenos state that the universes 1, 12, 5, and 7 are excluded from being in the tournament. And the reason for this being is because morality-wise, a lot of the mortals that are on those planets are moralistically better than the other universes that exist. Because of this, that means they don't have to be in the tournament, and this is where they start to state that they were going to wipe out all of the universes that had low morality levels anyway. And then they say it's a good thing that Goku requested this tournament because it makes it a lot easier for the Zenos to decide which universes to wipe out. So, because of this, that takes all of the pressure that Goku had put on everything else and immediately takes it off and throws the weight off a little bit. Now, I know what you're thinking is like, okay, well, how does that make the episode odd? Well, first of all, let's talk about this for a second. You've taken out 4 universes, so now 11 universes aren't going to be destroyed. Only 8 or actually only 7 are going to be destroyed, because 12 universes aren't participating in the tournament anymore, especially since the entire series has already continuously stated that all 12 universes are going to engage. Well, they never stated that, but they said that all the universes, and now we see specifically that they're narrowing it down to 8 universes when they've already advertised 12. And the reason I said they advertised 12 is because they gathered all of the angels, the gods of destruction, and the Shinkan, the Supreme Kai. They've gathered all of those, all 12 of each from each universe, and now we're suddenly not doing that anymore. We're suddenly only destroying about 7 universes now, and like 5 of them are exempt. Doesn't that seem a little odd to you? It seems odd to me, personally. And then the reason that they go into this further, they say, well, it's a good thing that Goku actually requested that the tournament is to happen. That way, Zenos know which universes to take out and which ones not to take out. And oh, by the way, if you're curious, Universe 9 has the lowest morality rate, and that's not surprising because their Supreme Kai is even evil, which is, yeah, even their Supreme Kai is evil, so obviously we knew that was going to happen. Universe 7, our universe, has the second lowest morality, which tells you something, and that's probably because of all the villains that have attacked in the past, so I can see why, I guess. Whatever. Because at first I was a little confused by myself, because I was like, if they're rating the universes, Universe 7 should be above Universe 6, because every fighter there is stronger than them, with the exception of, like, Hit and maybe Kaba. But anyway, moving on, at this point, we also learn that the angels won't get destroyed. I guess now that makes Daishinkan look suspicious too. It's like, how come only your angels will be spared? But we can get into that later. Anyway, long story short, it feels like they're playing it safe. They're playing it safe, and it's much like the Zamasu arc where Goku had the get out of jail free button to call Zeno. This definitely feels like we need to start pulling some safety buttons so that everything doesn't fall apart towards the end, which I will commend them for trying to think of a plan that they can write themselves out of later, but at the exact same time, you've literally advertised 12 universes and now only about 7 of them are getting destroyed. It kind of feels like you're pulling out, because that's what it feels like. It feels like they're playing it safe, they're pulling out, they're trying to not get completely screwed over. So I don't know how I quite feel about the ranking system. What do you all feel about the ranking system and the fact that a chunk of the universes won't be destroyed anymore? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But the next episode we'll be doing a review of is episode 81, Crusher Bergamo versus Son Goku, which has the sky high strength. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.